My name is Jonathan Shane. I am a functional nutritional therapist practitioner. I'm going to be talking to you guys today about body dysmorphia and battling negative self-image. So before we get started, I kind of want to go into what qualifies me to even talk about this in the first place. So a little bit about me. I'm a husband. I'm a sibling of 8. As I said, I'm a functional nutritional therapist practitioner, or FNTP for short. To put that in context, it just basically means that I'm given an education on how to give you a holistic foundation when it comes to your food. I'm a full-time ketogenic nutrition coach, and I own Keto Road LLC, which is a nutrition-based business. I'm an avid ketogenic athlete, and I'm currently focused on qualifying for the Boston Marathon. Now, I love sports. I love doing all of that, and all the things that you're reading right now are kind of what got me to where I'm at this moment in time, but that's not the whole story. There is another side to this story, and one that I would say deems me a little bit more qualified to talk about what we're going to discuss today. So, to give you some context, this photo on the left was me at 14 years old. I was weighing approximately 259 pounds. The photo on the right was me about 6 weeks ago, finishing up my last ketogenic bodybuilding prep. I used to do natural ketogenic bodybuilding. I've transitioned over to marathon training. And now while this physical transformation is impressive, I will admit, it's really the space between the ears that I want to talk to you guys about. The difference between how this person looks at himself as an individual and kind of the mental battle that he's had to go through to be able to get there. So behind the scenes, the truth is that between these two photos, they're about 10 years apart, I lived a dangerous life. I really, truly hated myself. I was willing to do anything for the acceptance of others because I had no acceptance of who I was. During my weight loss journey, my weight went up and down, and I ended up developing severe body dysmorphia and fat phobia, which basically means I was afraid to gain any weight. And this led to the development of my bulimia. I battled with these disorders for well over 7 years before finally confronting them with the help of a ketogenic diet. And, some might say, hey, you look so good right now. Like, how could you hurt yourself and, throw up and all of that? And the truth is that it's really easy to hurt yourself when you hate who you are. We do it all the time. I'm sure all of us in this room at some point that are watching this, when they've had some kind of negative thought, they did something that harmed themselves, whether it was overeating, whether it was gaining too much weight, whether in my case it was making myself throw up because I was too afraid that gaining a pound would make me unacceptable to my peers. I'm here today because I believe that all self-harm starts with the absence of self-care. At the end of the day, self-care is what gives us the ability to fight these kind of conditions that we're going to be diving into. I believe a lot of people suffer from body dysmorphia and or negative self-image and need true help confronting it. And a well-formulated ketogenic diet gives us a foundational advantage at dealing with this neurological disorder. So before we even really talk about how to attack it, what are we attacking? What is this? What is body dysmorphia? I'm sure some of you have never heard of this until about 2 years ago, and I really started confronting my eating disorders. I've never heard of body dysmorphia. I had just realized through studying that I had it. So body dysmorphic disorder is a mental disorder in which you can't stop thinking about one or more perceived defects or flaws in your appearance. With body dysmorphia, you're going to deal with facial features, skin, muscle tone, et cetera, et cetera. Unfortunately, a great example is someone with anorexia. They look in the mirror, and where you see someone that obviously is sick and may need help, they see someone that's overweight. The visuals that they receive through their brain are twisted due to hormone imbalances, and so on. And it really does to them look like they are overweight. Like it's a serious mental condition and perception of yourself. Someone with body dysmorphia may put a lot of effort into changing the feature with excessive exercise, weightlifting, or tanning, feel depressed, anxious, or have suicidal thoughts, compare yourself negatively to others, looking in the mirror constantly. I know 2 for me were over-exercise and looking in the mirror constantly. One of my strong areas are my arms. I feel whenever I'm in a bad mood or I let stress overweigh me and my mood just becomes very negative and depressive, I tend to distort the look of my arms and my midsection. And I remember there were times when I was younger that I would work out my arms so often and so hard that literally the next day I couldn't pick up a glass of water. I distinctly remember days like that. I constantly find myself looking at, if I walk in front of a mirror, I have to lift up my shirt and grab my skin and look at it, because there's just this constant nagging. Like, these are things that I've had to deal with my body dysmorphia. And so this is a very real issue, and a lot of people deal with it on a very high level, even if they're not aware or they're not acknowledging it. What causes body dysmorphia? Now, while it's a particular disorder, body dysmorphia shares a lot of commonalities with depression. This disorder can be caused by lifestyle, bullying, poor nutrition, or a mixture of all of these. In fact, some people with body dysmorphic disorder get put on SSRIs. SSRIs are medications that treat serotonin and depression, because really what they find is that the correlation between those three neurological disorders, among others, is that there's a lack of serotonin in the brain. Now, whether that's due to nutrition, whether that's due to childhood trauma causing stress factors in your endocrine system, there can be many, many reasons why it happens. But understanding that serotonin is a chemical nerve that's produced, right? And it's a chemical that basically puts you in a good mood. It's a good mood booster, right? It keeps your energy even keel, keeps you from dipping into depression, having negative thoughts. I mean, it's something that a lot of us lack that deal with mental disorders and at a severe rate. And so what you have to ask is, like, how does this impact us? Because some of you that are watching this right now might be connecting dots and getting a little panicked, right? It's like, oh my gosh, I might actually have this. And you may. Others have maybe just some simple negative self-image, which still can become an issue. So we don't want to just push that to the side. Both of these matter in context. And so while body dysmorphic disorder only affects 1 in 50 people, which is a lot, like, you have to understand that everybody watching this could suffer from it, because, you know, billions of people aren't watching this, right? But 1 in 50 are. So it definitely is a big deal that we should be addressing. But a lot of people deal with negative self-image. And we have to look at the fact that if you are not set up for success through your nutrition and through practical life application, negative self-image can transfer, and it can become body dysmorphia if put in the right environment. And at the end of the day, no matter whether you're on the severe side of body dysmorphia or you're just at the edge and you feel like you're about to fall off the cliff, it's not fun feeling and achieving a scale goal and still not being able to accept who you are. So many of us that are watching this are doing it because keto is good for weight loss, and that's great, and it's good for health, and that's great. But it's such a depressing feeling when you get to the end of what you thought would lead to your self-acceptance, and you're still not accepting of yourself. And so we have to work on that. We have to work on being accepting of who we are in the moment. So what can we do about this? So first off, we have to see the connection, right? We're talking at KetoCon, the keto diet matters. Why? What's the correlation between a well-formulated ketogenic diet and body dysmorphia? So ketogenic diet has been shown to lower inflammation in the brain and the body. It's been shown to help balance gut bacteria in mice, and it's potentially helping with neurological disorders in humans. So happy mice, happy humans, we're all happy. We know very well in advance that the ketogenic diet's great because it lowers inflammation in general. We hear about that all the time from all the great experts you're probably going to hear from on KetoCon online. And so there's definitely some validity to the impact this can have on this disorder. But let's talk about what we can do with our ketogenic diet. What can we add to it to help increase our chances from a foundational nutritional aspect to help fight these things? So from a nutritional standpoint, we need to make sure that we're fueling our body for function properly, right? So what does that mean? What is proper function? Right? That means that our hormones are balanced. That means we're digesting our food. It's not just about seeing the scale go down. We have to eat whole, real foods, and we have to give our body what it needs for neurological health. Now, I could give you a list of vitamins and minerals, and you could write them all down, but how about we just start with some simple food groups? So, animal proteins, beef, chicken, and fish. These are going to give you all the amino acids that you need, specifically one called tryptophan that's going to help you produce serotonin in your gut. Remember that fun little chemical that makes you feel good? We want that. Now, there is serotonin in both the gut and the brain. And while the one in the gut doesn't necessarily directly help mood, it helps control inflammation. And that's going to help nutrients get to your brain, which is going to indirectly help with the amount of serotonin you produce up here. So it's super important that we take care of our gut, which brings us to the other two. Raw dairy. So raw dairy is going to be packed full of healthy bacteria and vitamin D, and again, tryptophan, that's going to help facilitate a good environment in your gut for healthy serotonin production, among other nutrients. And then fermented and cultured foods like sauerkraut, kimchi, and kefir. These foods are loaded with spore-producing bacteria, which have been shown to help with the balance of serotonin in your gut and allowing for the biosynthesization of that hormone. Now, this part is anecdotal. N equals 1 for sure. Through my personal experimentation, I found I feel best when I eat an animal protein every day. So I would say at least 4 to 8 ounces of animal protein every day. I eat a fermented or cultured food 4 to 5 times a week. I eat enough healthy fats. I prioritize my sleep, and I stay hydrated. So some things like that, we see Rob Swanson chewing on a steak. We see a kid eating a bunch of kimchi. You don't have to eat it like that. Keto Brick is a great healthy fat source. Prioritizing sleep is so huge in how we approach this. And then hydration. Your body's 70% water. If you don't have the right amount of water, you're not going to function properly. I think we all can accept that as a general common sense. So again, animal proteins every day, fermented or cultured foods 4 to 5 times a week, enough healthy fats, prioritizing sleep, and staying hydrated. I do feel different if I go 3 or 4 days without a sauerkraut, a kimchi, or a raw cheddar. I genuinely do. So for me, from an anecdotal perspective, that means personal, these things work for me. And feel free to try them on yourself. Test things out. Now, that's great. Well-formulated ketogenic diet, these are the things that we can add to our keto diet to help us if we're not already. However, understand that foundationally, we might be repairing things, but the house is still cracked. We have to understand that body dysmorphic disorder and negative self-image are mental battles. No matter how good your nutrition is, if you do not do anything to confront the perception you have of yourself, you will never get on the other side of it. So what I want to do now is I want to look at a couple practical ways that I've learned to help process this in my daily life. So the first one, speak graciously to yourself. So this verse is from the book of Proverbs from the Bible. I do some ministry work, and so I really look into the context and the history of these verses. So this was written by King Solomon. He was a very wise man, and most scholars outside of religious circles know him as Solomon the Wise. He was a very wise man. And he says, gracious words are like honeycomb, sweetness to the soul and health to the body. Now, for Jews, which is where this book comes from, the Torah, which is their religious book, we know that honeycomb was a big deal. It was celebrated with Passover. It was a sweet thing. And the more you had, the more you wanted. And if you never had it before, you didn't know how sweet it really was. And I think the same can be applied for speaking graciously to ourselves, right? Saying, I am amazing is something that we don't normally do. But once you taste it, once you start to feel good about talking good about yourself, you start to want more. But unfortunately, if you've never done it, you really don't know how good it can be for you. And so even now, if you want, take a second and just say, I am amazing. Say it for the first time in your life if you haven't. I promise you, you do that 7 times, you make a habit out of it, it will really impact the way you look at yourself. In fact, I encourage every day you start the day with saying something positive about your body, something that it's done for you, something that it's doing for you. Pick it up. It deserves it. So we need to understand really 2 points from this. One, that we should speak graciously to one another, which we do a great job in this community. The keto community is amazing at speaking graciously to one another. But 2, that we should speak graciously to ourselves. Why? Why do you think that you're worth anything? Well, 1, you're 1 in 400 trillion. 1 in 400 trillion chance that you're on this earth, that you're watching this right now. You have 37.2 trillion cells in your body. You have 79 organs and 11 organ systems. There's so much room for error where you should not be here, but you're here, right? You woke up, you made the decision to come into the room, sit down, you're listening to me, and you're able to understand how oxygen is coming through my vocal tubes and vocal tissue, and you can understand that. Like, that's amazing. You are an amazing creature, and you should own that. And you should remember that on those bad days. Speak graciously to yourself. You are worth it. You're so worth it. Fun fact, a recent study showed promising results that kind words spoken to their patients helps with injury repair. So we are actually seeing in the scientific literature, which is awesome, that when we speak positively to ourselves and in our environment where we can hear it, our body reacts at a physiological level, like to the point where if we're injured, it increases our healing time. Like, that's amazing stuff. Speak graciously to yourself. Your body deserves it. Point number 2, invest in yourself. A body that is not cared for does not think you care. Take time to go for walks, take a bath, other things that soothe your body, mind, and soul. Maybe get some accountability. I know you'd rather go to have Starbucks. I know there's other things that can be hard, right, to financially afford a coach or a counselor, but we need those things. Sometimes it's good to take those finances and invest in yourself and say, I'm doing this for my health. I'm doing this for my good. So get some accountability. Take time to care for yourself. And it doesn't have to be big. You don't have to take big leaps now. Start small. Build from there. Rome wasn't built in a day. It's okay. Now, some of you may say, I'm busy. I don't have time. And I would say, if you're not 100%, how can you properly serve someone else? I'm really big on that with my clients and other people I speak to. It's like people do math. They pull numbers out of nowhere. It's, oh, I'm here to serve others. I don't have time to take care of myself. And it's simple. They're running at 40% and they're trying to give somebody 100% of themselves. That's mathematically impossible, right? So take time to invest in yourself, pour into yourself, care for yourself. Get yourself where you should be optimally, right? Where you're full of self-care and you're really putting your body as a priority in your life. And then go out and do what you were meant to do. We have to prioritize our own well-being if we want to be at our best. So invest in yourself. I'm telling you, it's a game changer, guys. And then third, know your worth stumbling for. What do I mean by that? I mean, it's not easy. I didn't get like this overnight. I have been in recovery from bulimia, which basically means that I haven't had a relapse since September of 2018. It's been almost 2 years since my last relapse. That was not an easy road to get to this point. I've had a lot of bad days. I've had a lot of learning. I've had a lot of growing. I've had a lot of self-awareness I've had to build. It's been rough at times. It's not easy, but as any road that has an end, we know it's worth getting there. So stumble. It takes time. Again, 2 years. Play the long game. Understand that you're not going to, if you don't love yourself today, you're not going to wake up loving yourself tomorrow, but you can wake up talking good to yourself tomorrow, and that will grow into love. You'll learn to appreciate your body for what it is, what it's been through, and where it's taking you in your life and in your goals. So play the long game. Don't expect this to happen overnight. Appreciate the journey. Fall in love with the process of learning to love who you are and what your body's capable of. Also, understand that no one's perfect. You're going to have bad days. It's not about when you fall. It's if you get up or not. That's what matters. We all fall. We all get dirt on our knees. But are you willing to stand up and keep walking? Understand that you're not perfect, and that's okay. And with that, be gracious to yourself. Sometimes you just have to pick yourself up. Sometimes you just have to keep walking and understand that your skin's gonna be hurt. You're gonna have some scratches. Every day is not gonna be a good day. So be gracious with yourself and keep pushing. And then the last point, and this one is really one to take home, is that there's true power in community. I have friends like, Robert Sykes, Danny Vega, all these amazing, amazing people that I can text or call at any time, and they're going to resonate with me. They're going to hear me out, but they're not going to let me stay where I'm at. They're going to challenge me and push me to push past those barriers and those comfort zones. And so I encourage you to find that. You are in the keto community, and this community, as we've seen, is powerful, and it picks one another up, and it pushes each other, and it challenges one another to go after what they're worth. And so know your worth. Get people around you that know your worth and want you to know your worth, and keep pushing through, because you are worth it. Be real, be proud. Now, one thing I want to get at before we end is someone had asked, how do you stay motivated for the long game? And my simple answer to that is motivation tends to be a very fleeting concept. I feel like, for me personally, I feel like motivation comes and goes. It all really depends on where you're at in life. If everything's going your way, if life is kind of streaming, as we're recording this pandemic thing's happening, and motivation can get it kind of go. It can be very fleeting. So my encouragement and my response would be, try not to lean on motivation, lean on vision. What's your why? What's the deeper meaning to why you're doing what you're doing? Because I feel like on those days when you do run into those potholes, when you do fall, when you do scratch your knee, when you don't feel good about yourself, that's when motivation's gone. But if you have that vision, if you have that person that you want to love and you want to be at the end of the road, you push towards, you keep going, even when the motivation's not there. So I think that motivation is a great house, but it's not a good foundation. So my encouragement would be to have a vision. Take some time today and maybe sit back and ask, why am I doing this? What is my end goal? Is it just to see the scale go down, or is it to love myself and be healthy and thrive? And make that your vision and pursue that, and just let those days of motivation kind of be a catapult to get closer to that. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I really thank KetoCon for allowing me to talk here. I hope that you learned something. I really hope it impacts you. Obviously, y'all saw all my contacts. If y'all ever have any questions, I'm here. So feel free to reach out. Don't be shy. I don't bite. Thank you.